Hey everybody, this is Kendall with Blackovis, and I'm here today with Jerry Wright from Alaska Guide Creations. And AGC has always been, we've been selling AGC for a lot of years, but AGC has always been known as a bino pack company. But we're announcing, we're happy to introduce to our customers as well as just to anyone that's watching this, that AGC now has a full-fledged pack that can haul a ton of meat, ton of gear. So I've got Jerry here from AGC. We're going to talk today. This is part of three different videos. We're talking today a little bit about what made you feel so bold that you guys could create a pack in an already dense space in the hunting market, and then we'll dive into the features and build about this pack, the frame. In our second video, we're going to talk about all the different accessories and pieces that you can put on, so you can check that link below or check on our YouTube page. And then the third video, we're going to talk, part 3 will be how to fit this, because most of the guys, Jerry, like myself, if I'm buying this pack, there's a lot of chance that plenty of our customers are not going to be in a shop. They're going to get this on the internet, or they're going to get this shipped to them. So we're going to dive into how to fit that. But before we get too deep, Jerry, tell me a little about what was the motivation for you guys to come out with a full-fledged backpack in the hunting space?
Yeah, the motivation was, we've hunted for years and years, and I've had a ton of packs. And as we talked about, the progression of Alaska Guide Creations and, how we're going to grow the business, how we're going to go into the next step and, grow, we said, well, what about a backpack? Well, there's a ton of good backpacks out there. I've ran bunches and bunches of them. But as we started talking about the backpack, the one thing that, came from all of our conversations was there's not one good backpack. There's not a backpack that does something for all the different sports. I want to go on a 7-day hunt, I got to have this backpack. I want to go a day hunt, I got to go with this pack. Mm-hmm. So we said, well, let's try to, find a pack, find a design that's modular, that can fit a lot of different applications. And that was kind of the idea behind it. And as we started going through and made a list, several of us at the shop said, well, what do you want in a pack? What are your 10 items? What are your 10 items? Well, we all hunt the same areas, the same animals, but we all had a different list. It was like,
super interesting.
Yeah, and so we said, okay, well, let's address that and figure out how to do that. And so that was kind of the idea behind it. And we have the capability with our manufacturers and our design teams. We've been doing bino harnesses for years, so we thought.
And all that manufacturing is here in Utah, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you guys are USA as well as Utah based.
Yep. And so we knew it was something we could do, and so we just started into it. And we wanted it to be strong was the first thing. Like, we don't want this thing to fail, because I've had backpacks that have failed. A clip in the back or a rod in the brace in the back broke, and it was miserable coming out because it was broke. And says, well, we want it to be strong. We want it to be modular, so you can set it up the way you want, and we want it to be easy to use. And also, if you do happen to break a clip, because they're not completely indestructible.
Totally.
If you break a clip, you call me, I send you a new clip.
Gotcha.
New buckle.
The pack's not necessarily unusable at that point.
Correct. I can send you a replacement part. And there's some redundancy built into some parts. If you do break a buckle, you can switch over to the slider and still come out functional and make it out.
So how long is a process of a company like AGC that's making vinyl harnesses, has a manufacturing capacity, has a team that can design a pack of this magnitude? And I've seen other brands make packs that I think end up kind of subpar or don't really hit the mark. And I don't know if it's limitation of the team or limitation of the manufacturing, but having looked at this pack and fitted it and ran a little bit, it's pretty robust, and there are a ton of different features in it. But how long was that process that you guys launched this pack just recently, a few months ago? How long was this build process for you guys?
The build process is it'll be 3 years in April.
Wow.
and that was kind of the other thing we discussed too, is like, we don't want to just make a pack and throw it out there and be done with it and just say we made a pack. We wanted to make sure that it works for us, that there was any issues. And, we spent probably a whole entire year on the design, prototyping, bringing things back, making tweaks and changes before we even started testing. And then once we felt like we had a good prototype, we started shooting that out to all the people we knew, that we hunted with, that we, some YouTube guys, some different people, and said, hey, take this, tear it up, and tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like.
Cool.
And so then we took that feedback and made some of those final design changes to get to the final product.
It must be hard to stay patient in that process when you really want this to be finished. But I'm glad you guys came out with this, and we're at Blackovis, we're excited to have this. You talked about the modularity, so let's shift gears a little bit. This is the pack in its entirety, and we've got it. We've got a few things in the side. We've got a tripod in this side where you've got pouches. But talk about. Let's actually take this one here and let's look at the frame itself. Let's set that guy here. I've got mine here, and tell us a little bit about this frame. I'm going to remove the bag and separate that so that guys can see that. So let's look at the back side of the frame and what's unique about what you guys have created here.
It's really simple, and it's really, really lightweight.
It is lightweight. There's no doubt about it.
And a lot of adjustability in the fitment for, how it's going to fit to different people. We've had some really big guys running it. We have a female running it that's under 100 pounds. And she's able to adjust it to her and to her body type. And it's really adjustable and, fits a lot of different people. Sizes
and configurations, what are the different sizes and configurations of this? The frame itself is the same. Waist belt sizes, bag sizes.
So there's 3 bag sizes. There's a 5,700 cubic inch, there's a 4,200 cubic inch, and a 2,800 cubic inch. All the bags fit exactly the same, so you can just clip one out, clip the other one in. We have a load hauling shelf that you can buy a separate attachment that'll attach on there.
Yep.
All the bags have the load hauler built into them.
Which is this right here. So I've got and this actually starts higher than some of the other, as far as the shelf itself. I typically don't run them out too far because I personally like to maintain that weight a little higher. But this is a pretty generous load shelf. And on the back side, it's got some cutouts so you can adjust the where that kind of fits into this bottom part. Yep. Underneath here, this is pretty interesting. This kind of cross design, I don't know if our viewers can see this, but you've got rods. There's 4 rods in this frame, correct?
Yep.
You've got 2 rods that are on the exterior, and then rods that start here, but they cross through on this holder. Tell me about this guy right here. Why not just isolate those in a sleeve, but why create this framing piece right there?
So we did that. As we were looking at different options for the frame, we looked at all kinds of different things. And one thing we found, carbon rods are, without going to solid steel or something like that, carbon rods are just strong.
Sure.
And so we said, well, we're going to go with the carbon rod. But by putting this piece, this is a custom 3D printed part. There's a company where we're located that has 3D printers.
I'm going to pull that out while you're talking through that.
Yeah, and I can help you there. But they have 3D printers, and we designed all these parts in 3D, sent them some models, and they built these parts for us.
Yeah, and this is pretty easy. I mean, as you see, the pack that I recently packed an elk out with a couple weeks ago, it was not that easy to eliminate. But you can see this cross framing here of these rods. And then this piece, this is like I don't know, it feels like a modular or a really firm plastic.
Yeah, and it's 3D printed, and basically what you're doing is you're cutting your length, like your moment arm, in half by putting a support here.
Okay.
So your strength is now here versus here.
I see.
And it just made the whole thing stronger. So this is just
feels
really,
like it stiffens up that frame, so you still get a little bit of movement. Like when I put it on, I can feel that it's moving with me, but it provides a little bit more stability instead of entirely moving like with my body. So that, because what happens, what I've seen is you get like a heavy pack and you make a movement, and sometimes that movement is accentuated by the weight that's in the pack. This feels like it stabilized that a little bit. And then across the bottom, there feels like there's some framing in here.
And the shell of the backpack, you know, is accessed from the bottom. There's a Velcro closure here, so you can open the Velcro and you can take all the parts out. So should you ever break one, unlikely, but
uncommon,
should you,
yeah, but it may happen.
We can send you a new part. You just take it all out, put it back together. So there's a solid part in the bottom, this part here, and then there's 2 solid 3D parts at the top. And these provide just so that, you know, if you ever have a load put here, it won't push through the fabric at the top.
Which I've had
just
happen.
Supports.
Yeah, I've had that happen with another pack that I dropped. Had an L quarter. I think I had a front and a hind. Dropped it down. You know, I shouldn't have dropped it down, but it just dropped it down and it tossed the rod up through the top. So.
Yeah, and things we've experienced with packs we've had in the past too, and they were, you know, we got to address that. We can't have that happen. And so that's why we went the way we did there.
This build is pretty, I mean, it's not entirely foreign to the meat hauling or the weight hauling hunting pack, but this is pretty unique, and I wanted to showcase that. As far as the last piece about, I mean, like we talked about the bags themselves, and we'll go into this in the other video that highlights the function of this. But you've got, I mean, basically you've got 2 side zips on the bag, the access from either side. You got a snow chute on top that cinches the lid, which we'll go over in our other video that shows how you can configure it. You've got 4 buckles up the side, and then cross buckles, 2 of them, which are removable. So I can move this clip and I can change this based on my bow configuration. As a bow hunter, that's what I'm typically using. You can throw some modular pouches on here, which we'll go over in the next video. But pretty amazing. The other cool thing that I thought was, I mean, it's nothing huge, but it's kind of you've got a little stash pocket down here for throwing in, and I've actually got them on the bag, which is you can throw the extra straps in. I've had those just like they disappear on hunts and whatever. So pretty cool from a back configuration. As far as the frame, the last piece we'll go over in this video is the support of the frame, or the shoulder straps. Adjustability is with the hook and loop that goes up. This is pretty interesting. Rather than just rely on the hook and loop on this guy, you also have these straps, these additional straps that come down. So as you're moving this up and down, this is not coming out. I mean, I think the first time I experienced hook and loop, I was like, dude, there's no way. Seriously, Velcro is going to hold this together. But ultimately, it's exceptional as far as its strength going across a large span. And most of the pack manufacturers that we work with have included this or utilized this. And then, but this strap is kind of this secondary. Why put that on there? What was the? I mean, I think it's unique and it's interesting. But was it needed, or is this really overkill?
No, we added that in. So in our testing phase, we noticed it too. When your backpack's laying on the floor and you'd grab a shoulder strap and you'd pull to lift it up, you would hear the Velcro and you think, oh, it's falling apart.
Maybe it's moving, maybe it's coming apart. Or
it's not. It was just the Velcro moving. And the same thing on the bottom. Like you would hear it without this. You could hear it move.
Yep.
You hear that little crackle. And so we added in this support for that alone, just to try to
eliminate that thought that
it's going to fail. And the same thing. There's one at the top here. There's a clip that you can get that adjusted, cinched down tight. And so when you pick your backpack up by this off the ground, and it's loaded to 90 pounds.
It's not going to move.
It's not.
I noticed that as well as I loaded down mine. You don't hear that at all, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so that was the idea behind that.
As far as the lumbar goes, pretty standard. Not quite as thick as I've seen in other manufacturers. And then the waist belt, also not quite as thick, but quite interestingly, as you were saying, in all your testing and all your use, and I haven't field tested this yet, just a little bit of rucking, like around up at the football stadium in the town I live in. It didn't feel like I was short any additional padding, but that was one of my first initial impressions. Was maybe there's not enough padding, but so far, is in all of the testing and the hauling that you guys have done and all the build, I think less might be more in this situation.
Yeah, we ran a whole bunch of different thicknesses, from 3/8 all the way up to 1 inch. I think we were at one point we were even 1.5 inches in the
lumbar
lumbar pad, And this was what we arrived at because it's the most comfortable and haven't had any issues, you know, no rubbing, no hot spots. I haven't felt like I'm lacking. The adjustability, you know, there's a little bit of adjustability in height on the lumbar.
Because you've got this Velcro underneath here, so you can move that up and down.
And the belt is a two-piece belt, so you can adjust in and out for, you know, for your width. There's a ton of adjustment on
as well as for the torso. You're not just adjusting. That's what I kind of liked, is you can adjust the belt itself up and down with some movement, the lumbar as well as the shoulders. So if your torso is a different height or you know, just different than other people, you can certainly, there's a lot of adjustability in here, like any pack, and there's a lot of great packs on the market. This is a really interesting introduction. So man, Jerry, I can't thank you enough for coming. You guys, for everyone that's watching this video, make sure you check out part 2 and part 3 as we overview the bag function and all of the components. I mean, you guys have nailed it on accessory pouches, probably more than most guys need, but it's nice to have them all. And then the third part, we'll go over fitting, so that you have a little bit of insight on how to fit this properly to your frame. So, Jerry, thanks a ton for being here.
Thank you.
I hope this has been interesting. Make sure you check the link below to look at more of these videos about the new AGC pack that we're going to be carrying on Blackovis.